So, growing up outside of a neighborhood, I spent a lot of my free time with my two older brothers. You can see us there. That's Kyle and Tyler. Tyler is the one on the left with blonde hair and blue eyes, while Kyle is the one on the right with the black curly hair. And I'm the chubby little happy baby in front. And we all got along together really well. We spent a lot of time together, and we shared plenty of common interests. But although we shared a lot of interests, there were several things that were evidently different about my two brothers. Not only, as you can see, in the way that they looked physically, but they were interested in different things. And because they were interested in two different things, my experiences with them were different, and therefore my memories are perceived in a different way than I do most other things. So with Tyler, a lot of things that we did together were creative things. We would draw together, we'd build forts together, we'd create magic shows together. And whenever I think of these memories, I can visualize them pretty well. I can set the scene, I can remember what our drawings looked like, what our fort rooms looked like. But with Kyle, I can hardly reconstruct my memories. And the reason why I can hardly reconstruct these memories is because most of my memories with him involve music. He was very musically inclined. He would show me a lot of the bands that I still listen to today, and I would sit and listen as he played the guitar. But when I think about these memories, I mostly envision swirls of colors. So to give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about, one of my most fond memories with him was sitting in his room when I was about 7 years old, and he was showing me Jimi Hendrix for one of the first times in my life. And whenever I was listening to it, I couldn't tell you what his bedroom looked like, if it was messy, or if my other brother was sitting in the room with us. But I was seeing swirls of color. I was seeing different clouds of ivory and pink come into my sight, and also strikes of gold as the guitar would build as the song went on. And the thing is at 7 years old, I definitely wasn't doing any drugs, but I was experiencing a neurological phenomenon called synesthesia. So synesthesia is a condition in which your brain is cross-wired. One sensory or cognitive pathway will lead to the involuntary and automatic response in another cognitive or sensory pathway. So with your senses cross-wired, you can experience this in plenty of different ways, and synesthetes all have different experiences of this. Some synesthetes might maybe taste different colors or different shapes, while other synesthetes might assign personalities to different letters of the alphabet. But for me, it affects me in 3 different ways. So the first form of synesthesia that I have is called grapheme synesthesia. So basically, my letters and my numbers all have designated colors. They've always been the same colors. I've always had A was blue, B was brown, or 1 is white, while 2 is light pink. It's always been the same, and I've seen this every time I've read a book or gone through different math formulas. But it can vary from different synesthetes that have the same form of grapheme synesthesia. The next form that I have is called spatial sequence synesthesia. So in this form, basically anything that comes in any sort of sequence is placed in a specific point in space around my body. So for example, the number 1 will start right here, and as I'm counting, it'll trail up across my body to 100 about here. Or when I think of the days of the week, Monday will land right about here, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday will come around my head and then make its way back up with Sunday. My final form of synesthesia is the one that I had mentioned earlier, which is music to color synesthesia. So in this, I visualize music as different hues and colors and forms and textures that kind of shape and shift with each song that I'm listening to, and it feels really vital and intentional with the music that I'm going through. So in all of these visualizations, my experience is consistent. It's always the same sort of thing. The letter M will always be magenta to me. Thursday will always zoom kind of by the side of my face. And for example, the song Hey Jude will always be kind of a golden hue to me. And along with this, I'm also not hallucinating in any way. In no way does it interfere with my visuals or with the reality of what I'm actually seeing. And a lot of people tend to ask me if I can drive and listen to music at the same time, and I definitely can do that. And the best way that I can explain this is that if you had a passenger in your car who is recalling a memory with you and saying, oh, wasn't it fun the time that we went to the lake together, you're not going to say, no, stop talking, I can't see anything. You're going to maybe have it filter kind of above your head or wherever your memories might lie, and you can focus in on it if you so choose. So since these occurrences were so familiar to me and so normal feeling to me, I never really questioned that it might be any different. And it wasn't until I was 12 that I thought, okay, maybe something might be a little off. And I thought maybe other people didn't see the same colors that I was seeing. Not that they didn't see colors at all, but just that they might be seeing different colors. So of course, I go to my older brother, and we're sitting in the kitchen. He was doing something, I don't know what, and I was thinking about my alphabet, and I said, hey Tyler, is your letter C canary yellow too? And without even looking at me or making eye contact or even caring about what I was saying, he said, yep, and I was satisfied. I thought, okay, everyone sees colors, that's fine, and I never thought anything of it, and little did I know he didn't even know what question I had asked him. So I carried on with my life, and it wasn't until I was about 15 that this naivety was corrected. And again, I was in the kitchen, where I evidently have all of my revelations, and I was sitting next to our friend Tivo, a family friend, and I was choosing a ringtone for my cell phone. And so I had this navy blue slider cell phone, and I was looking through the iTunes on my computer, and I had landed on a song called Cheater by Michael Jackson, and I was like, this song is absolutely perfect. It is orange and red, and that matches my navy blue phone. They're complementary colors. So I turned to my friend, and I said, hey, Tivo, I found the perfect song. This looks awesome together. It's orange, and my phone's blue. And he stopped me, and he goes, what do you mean these songs match, or that your phone matches this song? And I responded so smugly, thinking he didn't understand complementary colors. So I was like, oh, well, this is orange, and that's on the opposite side of the color wheel from blue. That's why that looks good together. And he instantly corrected me, and he said, no, what do you mean that the song is colored? So of course, I thought, something's wrong with him. He doesn't see colors. After all, our entire lives, it's been reinforced that visuals go with music. As far back as I can remember watching Fantasia, I remember seeing the projection behind the symphony of the different colors and shapes that would go along as different instruments would play, or even Windows Media Player on your computer, and you'd listen to music and shapes would come in, or even at concerts when we have different light shows, we always see different colors. So I was sure that that was something that was common for everyone. So I started to ask around and see if maybe I was wrong. And each time I asked someone, I was constantly bombarded with, no, I don't see this. And even though everyone was replying with no, they all seemed very interested. So I was having fun answering their questions like, what color is this song? Or what color is my name? But even though I was enjoying this sort of interaction and understanding a little more about myself and about other people, I felt like I wasn't accurately describing this to people. After all, what I was seeing was a visual, and I didn't want to get that across verbally. So it wasn't until I was a freshman in college, I was 18 years old, and I decided to paint my first song. And it was a song written by my friend Tivo, who had discovered the ringtone phenomenon with me. And he had written somewhat of a book report over the book Anna Karenina. So I thought this was the perfect introduction to painting music. I thought it would be cool to take a story and go from words to music and then to colors. So I painted my first song, and it was this mix of just a bunch of different colors of orange and red and blue, and I had this cheesy little guitar in the corner just to show that it was music. And I thought I was satisfied. I was like, okay, that's it. I've done it, and now I've got these colors out of my system. But then later on, as I had gone through life and more people understood that I had synesthesia, I felt like I needed to explain it more. So after I graduated, I had a little bit extra free time not studying, and I decided to continue painting. And at this point in my life, I was 22, and I was a little more familiar with social media and different platforms that you could use to share your work or other things. And I started sharing all of my paintings on different places like Imgur and Board Panda and Facebook. And I got a lot of different responses from people that were strangers, people that were outside of my circle. So I got a more honest response. And there were 3 types of responses that I generally got. The first one was that people had never seen this before, that they thought, this is so different, I've never experienced this, I've never heard of synesthesia before, I'd like to know more. The second response was people that didn't quite know what was going on and were a little skeptical of the fact that I was painting music. And then the third group of people were other synesthetes. And these could be synesthetes that knew that they had synesthesia, but had never met someone else that had had it as well. Or it could be synesthetes that didn't know that they had any sort of condition, that they thought that something was inherently wrong with them. And they felt a little bit better and a little bit safer knowing that someone else was experiencing these same sorts of things. So I'm going to show you exactly what my paintings look like to give you a better idea, but before I do this, I would like to give you kind of a lowdown of my process of painting. So the first thing that a lot of people ask me is, how do you fit a 3 to 4 minute song into one still frame of a painting? And the way that I do that is in a layering effect. So whenever I think of my mind being completely clear, I think of sort of a navy blue kind of space area. And from that, the colors of each songs, of the different instruments, of the different keys, will come in on top of that. So I might put down a gold explosion to be an electric guitar solo, or maybe a mush of different colors dripping down the side to be a piano chord. And I'll keep layering those on top of each other until I feel that I've created a picture that accurately represents what I'm visualizing. So without further ado, I'd like to show you some of my paintings, and the first one I'm going to start off with is going to be Lennie by Stevie Ray Vaughan. So in this one, the thing that really stuck out to me about this song was just the first strum of that guitar, and that is kind of where all of this comes in. It's just a little bit of an explosion, and from then, it's got a very kind of milky feel, so it moves around and takes on different shapes. The next one that I'd like to show you is Imagine by John Lennon.
Imagine all the people
particular painting, my main focus was the chords of the piano, and you can see that kind of represented on the right side of the canvas. And also this song feels very heavenly and hopeful, so a lot of sort of white bursts come into it as well. The last song that I want to show you is by Etta James. It's called At Last.
At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song.
So the thing about this song is that jazz music tends to have a very iridescent look to it, so I incorporated a lot of golds into it. And then the thing that stuck out most to me about this song was the very beginning when she goes into the at last, it comes out in a white kind of streak, and then the vibrato of her voice kind of makes these different little drips down here, and also the splatters along the side. So painting music has become a huge part of who I am, and but going through these experiences, from understanding that I was different to sharing it with the rest of the world, I started to understand that my perspective was only my own. I wasn't considering anyone else's perspective. And such egocentric naiveties not only inhibit our ability to understand our differences and thereby use them to our advantage, but it also deprives us the opportunity to know more about each other, to connect and to empathize, and to ultimately use our differences to empower one another. Thank you.